Championship Sunday for the 2024 Portland Open presented by Latitude 64 is complete, and your champion Gannon Buhr hangs on to his historic lead. And here he is in the TC booth joining me here one last time for the weekend. Gannon, thank you so much for your time, my friend. I want to ask you a quick question. We interview you all the time, and when we ask you about how you're feeling, you say terrified, nervous, stressed. Don't choke this away. Is there any ounce of a joke in that, or do you really feel that? Is that really what your internal monologue is?
No, that's how it feels. I mean, I was up 5 with 4 holes to play, and I still was getting scared. I was talking to my caddy. I'm like, I'm just throwing it away. Like, you know, it's not quick, but I'm just like, oh, here's a stroke, and it was just kind of quickly happening. Obviously, there was only 4 holes left, but I mean, anything can happen. You can shank whenever. Someone can throw in and put a streak of birdies together. When you're in the lead, it almost feels like the chasers are always just birdieing out. That's what it feels like. I don't know. It didn't happen today. The weather was not helpful for it, really. You know, I think if it was a nicer day, I could have expanded my lead a little bit. I'm not good in the rain at all, but, you know, my game felt pretty good today. Still had a couple good shots, a couple good stretches of holes there.
Gannon, you've always told me that you've loved the flex shot. That's your bread and butter. You've got that in the bag. But recently, the hyzer flip looks really natural for you now. It feels like you're beginning to be more of a universal thrower with the backhand. Is that accurate, or does the hyzer flip still feel pretty foreign to you?
I mean, it feels a lot better. I mean, I've been throwing that red C-Line DD3 a bunch on hyzer flip drives, I feel like. But it's good for placement. Off the tee, if I need like a little bit more distance, I don't have to try as hard. But I have to keep on hyzer like the whole way. So I've been throwing a lot of those. Flex is still my preferred line. You know, if it's like a short hyzer flip, it's a little touchier. But you know, I think to be a top pro, you have to have every single shot in the game, pretty much. I mean, it's easier to be consistent that way. You know, if a hole calls for a forehand, I think you should be throwing a forehand, and that's the same way. If there's a hyzer flip hole, I'm going to throw a hyzer flip.
I remember you at Nevin facing some holes last year that were really challenging, that forced you to kind of throw the hyzer flip. Was playing a course like Nevin a catalyst for you learning more hyzer flip, or is that just a natural progression for you?
Just natural. I mean, it's like what the hole gives you, I got to take. I've always played my highest percentage shot, and so for me there, it's going to be what's going to make the gap the biggest, and it's a lot of hyzer flips. Mm-hmm. I've played decent at Nevin in the past. I got third at the Pro Tour Finals 2 years ago, and got sixth last year. But I've had a couple good rounds out there. I'm definitely feeling more comfortable. My game feels more well-rounded. I'm loving my new bag. I just feel pretty dialed in right now.
You definitely sounded more positive in regards to talking about your rounds this week than you have in tournaments past. Get nitpicky about your tournament. How satisfied are you actually with the performance overall?
Pretty satisfied. Today was not my best golf. You know, I didn't start great, but each round I only had 1 bogey, and then today I had 2. But today was like, it was kind of inevitable. The conditions were so bad, and both my bogeys were, like I said, just dumb mistakes that I was trying not to make. But obviously with the lead, it didn't really matter that much. You know, I guess I forgot the question.
I'm going to move on to another one. You actually answered that one pretty good. Now, last time at the OTB Open, you finished outside of the top 10 for the first time all season. Last year, there's some crazy stat line of you finishing like 50th, and then winning, and then 24th, and then winning. And it was a strange coincidence. Did this give you some motivation, having a rough finish at OTB?
Yes, and the main thing was my forehand at OTB cost me everything. And my backhand also was not good. My only thing I did good at OTB was putt. I had a chance of actually getting like 8th place if I just got up and down for birdie on one of the hole 18 at OTB, and wasn't able to. But my forehand, I mean, I was only throwing like 320 and shanking everywhere. And so, you know, I definitely threw a ton of forehands this week. You know, warming up in the practice fields and stuff, just trying to get that forehand dialed in and learning my bag also. So on the open holes, just trying to figure out how my discs fly. You know, I'm really comfortable. Like I said, that DD3 is just so workable. I mean, it's perfect for my forehand because I get more distance, and then backhand it's bombs. But I think, having an off week can kind of, you know, light a fire, and, you know, you play bad one week, you want to really bounce back the next week. And so that's huge for me and my confidence. Obviously this week felt really good. I felt in control the entire time. You know, through the first 3 rounds, I only made 3 mistakes total, and I don't think anyone else in the field was doing that. My birdie rate was extremely high, even, not making a single circle 2-putt in round 2 or 3. And so, yeah, my game just feels great right now. I want to keep that going. Like I said, today wasn't exactly what I wanted. I was hoping to get a few more under par strokes, but I feel like going into Beaver State Fling, I feel good. I think my throwing is going to be just as good, hopefully, and I'm just looking forward to a new tournament already.
We're going off to Milo. It seems like everybody loves being out there at Milo McIver State Park. How do you feel about your chances out there, and are you still loving the course, even though it's been changed a little bit over the years?
Yeah, Milo's a very fun course to play in practice for me. I've had a kind of a love-hate relationship with it in tournaments sometimes. I feel like there's a couple holes that I wish they would use. I wish they'd use a few holes than they do. There's a couple holes I don't like out there, which can kind of break the course for me. But the properties are beautiful, and I'm sure they'll make good changes this year. But overall, it's a very solid course. I know it's a lot of people's favorite. Very fun to play. These two tournaments are like my favorite spot of the whole year. That and, GMC for Vermont. That's another one of them. But I think I can play pretty good. I got 4th last year. It was actually one of the weirdest weeks of my life because my game felt so bad, but I was just kind of getting a birdie here, birdie there, not really bogeying. So got a top 5 last year. I feel like I can play pretty solid out there. It's wooded, but there's also a lot of open shots. It's more like you're throwing, in the trees instead of through gaps. I feel like there's just big trees around you, which is very similar to out here. There's not a ton of gap shots out here, but there's those big trees that you got to kind of shape the fairway.
Gannon, congratulations,
Thank
my
you.
friend. One more tournament until we're going back home to the Midwest.